Kopf rein, Kopf rein, Kopf rein. Das hat der Häuser getroffen. Kopf rein. Kopf rein.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you are tuning in. My name is Jonathan Torres Herrera, and you are watching or listening to the JTH show. Today, we're going to get into a few topics. Unfortunately, they're not lighthearted topics, so viewer discretion is advice. We are going to talk about very quickly about what's happening in New York and DC, major U.S. cities, and due to the election, why they're boarding up their downtowns. Then we're going to move on to some of the attacks that have happened in France. And then, of course, we need to talk about the attacks that also occurred in Vienna, Austria. But first, roll the intro. All right, as always, make sure to download any of the following apps, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Radio Public, and catch the shows on there as well when you cannot watch them on YouTube. In addition, remember that we now do have a shop down below in the YouTube channel if you guys are interested in any of our merchandise. And you know, more than anything, thank you for catching these clips all the time. Really appreciate it. Okay. So we're going to get into very quickly the first story, and that comes out of NPR. And in reality, it's been all over the place. The New York Times, you know, even TMZ had a story. And that is what is happening, right? As NPR says, a sign of the times. Across U.S. cities, storefront boarded up ahead of election. Yeah. So it's one of those things where, you know, because of what's happening right now, because like they say, the times currently are very, on edge, very much on edge. In fact, many cities are preparing ahead of the election that's happening. Well, I guess if you're watching this tomorrow, on Tuesday, right? I am filming this, today, Monday, but obviously you're going to be watching this on Tuesday. So we'll say today, right? So what's happening today with the elections is going to be big. Right? And many cities are already anticipating that there's going to be some kind of civil unrest, right? Riots. I'm sure they're going to start like they always do, as demonstrations, right? As protests. And then as soon as nightfall begins, then we start seeing, trash cans get lit. That's the first thing that usually always goes. And then you start seeing bottles being thrown. The police starts putting on the riot gear. And then we have what we probably, or some of you guys have experienced probably for the last 6 months, it feels like at this point, which is, those they're really riots. Let's call them what they are. They're riots, right? They're not just, demonstrations or just protests. They're riots. And in fact, here's a little clip for you real quick that I'm going to play, of somebody on TikTok that did a 2-part, kind of like FYI, do it yourself kind of thing on how to prepare for what he says are protests. So let's roll the clip.
So this is how you properly prepare a protest bag, a bug-out bag, or a survival bag. Invest in a high-quality bag, preferably one made of nylon. Invest in a gas mask and make sure you have a lot of filters. And invest in a first aid kit. This is your most important equipment, these two right here. One of the most important things to have in your bag is a tourniquet. This is to stop somebody from bleeding out. Make sure you have shears, gauze, pads, and some protective gloves. Glucose tablets and Narcan. Thermal blankets in case somebody goes into shock. Wound wash and other stuff to clean wounds. Another important thing to have is some CPR shields if you are CPR certified, and a helmet. This is part 2 on how to prep a protest bag. Make sure to have protective goggles that are sealed tight, and if they have air vents up in them, cover them with duct tape. Saline solution to rinse your eyes out. This is also safer than baking soda and water. Why? Because baking soda can scratch your eyes. And milk is used to stain your clothes, and that is how police can target people as well too. Fire-resistant gloves. This is to throw back tear gas. Invest in a high-quality portable charger. Earplugs for flash bangs and sonic booms. And duct tape always comes in handy. Next, we have some tools to protect ourselves with. We have some brass knuckles, We have a laser pointer. If you know what that's used for, then you know. We have a knife. And it is very important to always stay hydrated. I know a lot of people won't be able to get their hands on one of these, but this is a military grade gas mask that inflates into a portable suit. Next, we have our press passes to allow access to anywhere police are blocking areas, inhaler and electrolytes, ice packs, and wound.
Okay, so, as you saw there, they're not really protests, like preparations. That you don't prepare for a protest with goggles and what he said there, the lasers, the big lasers, right? Not like the little teacher lasers or the meeting lasers. No, these are big, huge, I don't know if you would call them professional grade lasers, where, like he's, tried to allude, in the video there, like, if you know what I mean.
We have a laser pointer. If you know what that's used for, then you know.
Yeah, we know what you mean there, buddy. You use those to kind of try to blind the police officers. In fact, they have been, it has been said that they can be very damaging, right, to the cornea, because again, they're not these tiny little lasers, right, that probably just make it a few yards. No, these are, big professional lasers that can go quite a way. And the issue here is, he is doing his video, which it's coming across different people's For You page, right? On TikTok, it came across mine. And, it definitely shows you kind of like the mentality of many of these individuals, which is why, in fact, you have obviously newspapers across the nation reporting, hey, many businesses are preparing because they fear that as soon as one of the two candidates declares that they won, there's going to be some kind of unrest, right? Now, I'll leave this whole thing here, right? Please, if you're listening to this, whether you disagree with me or agree, can we at least come to one thing that we can all agree on, right? And that is that it's for the 4 years that the next president will be elected, right? 4 years. I want you to understand that your life or someone's life is not worth losing, right? We can disagree on many things. We can disagree whether Trump is the biggest bigot or racist or homophobe, whatever, or no, wrong, JT. It's Biden, really. Look at the guy. He's losing his mind. He's touching kids. Listen, we can go back and forth on really, at the end of the day, which creeple do you want to have in the White House? I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say that, right? Not to please both sides, but really because I'm going to call the cards what they are. But what I think we can all, again, I repeat, agree is that a life is not worth losing over 4 years that one of these two dudes are going to be elected. It's just not. Right? They remove all the drama from it. Remove all the conspiracy that as soon as one of them gets elected, everything's going to go to hell. I'm sorry. If you have, a fraction of an intelligent brain, it doesn't take much for you to go to Google or ask nowadays one of these home devices, hey, tell me, what happened in previous elections. Right? Where you have people saying back then that Obama was like, it smelled like sulfur and all those other stupid things.
I was reading the other day, there's a guy on the radio who apparently Trump's on his show frequently. He said, me and Hillary are demons. Said we smell like sulfur. Ain't that something?
Nothing happened when Obama was elected for 8 years in terms of the world ending. None of that happened. None of it happened. We also were not delivered, to a paradise like some of these individuals. I remember back then claim I'm old enough to remember some of that, right? Because it's always more of drama, more of the dramatics than facts. And at the end of the day, again, I repeat, a life is not worth losing, right? Hopefully, tomorrow when these alleged riots happen, over 4 years of some dude being in the White House, right? We need to let the elections happen as they're going to happen. One of them's going to get elected, and we need to move on and get on with our lives. Can we be upset? Can we make memes, critique them? Sure. Make all the jokes you want as soon as either one gets elected. Go nuts with it. But that is very far removed from actually going out there and causing mayhem and chaos because you believe or you have heard enough videos online convincing you that if one of these two individuals, whoever you think shouldn't be, right, elected, will somehow cause the end of the world. That's not going to happen. At most, what's going to happen is, for those people participating in these stupid riots, their world might end, right? Hopefully not, but might end if they take it too far. That's the most that's going to happen, because these individuals, let me tell you something, right? There's a hard, cold reality. They're going to move on with their lives, right? They're going to continue as quote unquote policymakers in their comfy, probably 2,000 or 3,000, 4,000, I don't know what they are anymore, threaded freaking sheets, and having servants now they call them help or whatever the hell they want to call them. And, with their Secret Service, getting whatever the hell food they want, they're going to be very comfy in their new position. Or if it's Trump, continuing in his position, flying in private in their Air Force One and all that stuff. And none of us are going to be living that, right? So if we go to each other's throat, it's not going to matter much to them, because they're still going to be protected. They're not going to go out and stand with you in, solidarity if you think that, again, one should have won or the other. It's just not going to happen. That's not the reality that we all live in, right? So that's what I'll leave the story, when it comes to this and what's happening. Please, just stop for a moment if you think about participating tomorrow if these were to happen. Because one thing that I also found out very quickly is, just like they had mentioned, the Providence Purge, right, that I released a video a couple days ago. Oh, there's all this tension because on Halloween there was supposed to be this purge, and luckily, I guess you can say, it only went as far as just scaring a few people, putting tensions up very high. But other than that, nothing really happened in Providence. Again, for me at least, and in my opinion, thank God, that nothing went beyond a stupid flyer that some troll created to get, I don't know, attention or something, right? So I really hope that all this boarding will be untouched. All this boarding up of stores will be unnecessary, because really nothing happens, right? Again, other than, I'm sure, a few demonstrations, because people want to speak out and they want to, protest, and then everybody goes home. That's what I hope for. All right. So let's move on to something that's a little bit, not a little bit, actually quite a bit sadder when it comes to what is happening, in France and Europe. So we'll first start with the France story. So if you didn't find out, over the last few days, there were incidents, devastating, tragic incidents that happened in France. Let me read some of my notes here. So the incident took place after morning mass in Nice, and I guess it's produced Nice, not Nice, France. And that is 3 people that have died after an attack. One woman, age 60 years old, was virtually, and again, for your discretion advised, beheaded. Okay? One man, age 55, had his throat slit. The third victim was stabbed several times but managed to escape and was hid in a nearby cafe before dying of her wounds. A male suspect was shot and detained, and anti-terrorist prosecutors have opened an investigation into the attacks, and France has raised its national security alert to its highest level. 4 police officers arrived at the scene at 8:57 local time, and the attacker was shot and detained shortly after. French anti-terrorist prosecutor said that this is definitely a terrorist attack. Let's see here. Police sources earlier named the attacker, which, I am very much with a lot of the creators that unless I absolutely have to, I don't like to name, attackers, the disgusting individuals like this, right? I don't like to say their name because I don't want their name, at least not by my doing, to go in any level of trending or to be a keyword out there that people come across, right? They don't deserve that. They don't deserve any level of recognition. So, they identified the person. They did name him. They said that he had traveled by boat from Tunisia to an Italian island in September. Two other attacks took place on Thursday. Again, one in France and one in Saudi Arabia. A man was shot in Montfavet, excuse me if I'm butchering names here, near southern France city of Abigoin, after threatening police with a handgun. So yeah, definitely very, very devastating stuff. There's a Washington Post article, that kind of details the whole thing. Tensions in France towards Muslims have risen due to the law proposed by President Emmanuel Macron. As high as 70 to 80% of Muslims say that they believe it is wrong to depict the Prophet Muhammad, which I guess then also ties in to another violent incident that took place with I believe this was an attack on a professor, right? Because the professor decided to show these cartoonish, I guess, depictions rather of the Prophet Muhammad. Samuel Patty was the victim, the professor, the teacher that was also beheaded. It's extremely sad, devastating to see this happening there. Again, some of you guys might have already seen some of the pictures that have been floating around on social media, but that's what this was due to. I think a lot of the ones that I saw allegedly claimed that all this commotion was only due to COVID locally, right, and the rising cases, and that is not necessarily in fact true. This is definitely also in part due to the attacks that happened there in France. And with that, let's get into the last bit of news here, and that is the attacks that happened on November the 2nd in Vienna, Austria. So here are some of the bullet points. So this disgusting terror attack took place again on November 2nd in the capital of Austria, Vienna. 2 dead and at least 15 wounded. Several bystanders have been injured by shots, and the gunmen are rumored to potentially have a hostage situation taking place. At least 6 locations within the center of Vienna have reported gunfire. It is also definitely a terror attack, with the targets unclear. Authorities discourage speculation. Here is a quick Twitter video of what happened.
Kopf rein. Das hat der Häuser getroffen. Kopf rein. Kopf rein.
Okay, so as you see there, there definitely some gunfire going on. Very, very hectic, very tragic, and this is coming again tied to a string of terror attacks, because that's what they are, right? From individuals, right? At least according to some sources, saying, hey, this is all due to how you can kind of say the more Muslim countries, right, have treated Muslims, right? Well, or Muslims living in those countries, right? So it's very sad. Again, very tragic. There's unfortunate stuff going all over the place. I know that many people will say, because I saw some comments, and this is nothing that I guess hasn't been said before, but it goes with stuff like, it's just because of their religion, because of their culture. And let me tell you something. The same has been said by other people for Catholics, for Christians, right? When it comes to what those religions perceive, or rather see as acceptable when it comes to violence, right? To protect their religion. I am a stranger, you can say, to the Islamic religion. I don't know much of it. I know of it, but I don't know enough details to say, yes, it is a very, like I've seen some comments say it is an extremely violent religion and all they want is death. I don't know enough of it to say, to tell any of my viewers, that must be true. I will tell you that I believe that regardless of the religion, there are They are radicals. They are people that maybe because of their upbringing, maybe because of something they have seen on the internet over and over, they can become radicalized, right? They can become individuals that get sucked in to whatever narrative they are being, kind of sometimes actually shoved down their throat. Sometimes they do get sucked into it, willingly, but a lot of times, you have individuals out there, pastors. It happens here in the U.S. now because, by the way, that I can't speak to. You have these big pastors, right, that fly around in private, jets that every Sunday will literally yell their whatever it is that their sermon is, and make you feel like, one, you have to, pretty much give all your money. Two, you're a sinner and how dare you, and try to, in fact, kind of put you down instead of uplift you, and trying to make you guilt trip you into whatever the hell their narrative is, right? And I think it can be probably the same, or rather the same can be said for the Muslim religion, right? I'm no one here to stand and say, yeah, the Muslim religion is that. No. But again, in comparison to the people that practice, Christianity, right? Or even Catholics that spew all this crazy stuff that they are interpreting from the Bible, I'm pretty sure it's probably the same, right? For somebody or somebody in the Muslim community, right? Again, taking whatever, they read, whatever, they're soaking in, and then interpreting it, right, into whatever form that they want to push that on you. And I think what happens many times is you have, unfortunately, very weak-minded individuals embrace all that, follow all that. There's videos that I've released in the past about people easily being influenced, especially nowadays. If it was maybe something that was easy for people before social media, in my opinion, it is easier now. Why? Well, because put it this way, right now, if you fell in the mood for something scary, right? I'm going to give you a really basic example. It's just something scary online, right? Whatever you define as scary, it's at your fingertips. You feel romantic, at your fingertips, right? Anything, any emotion you have as an adult, it's at your fingertips to be influenced, to consume it. Back in the day, and I'm going to get a little X-rated, but if you felt horny, what did you need to do? I mean, way back in the day, way before AOL, what did people back in the day need to do to satisfy that urge? Well, there was obviously, the traditional strip club, but there was these adult bookstores, right? That they went, they had to literally leave their home, go purchase that, come back home. It was a whole process, right? And that, again, it was the same for anything. You felt in the mood for, scary movies. You had to go down to Blockbuster or whatever video store you had, right? It was a process to consume whatever you need to consume. And it was whatever you purchased. That's it, right? That's it. One DVD, a couple videos, or maybe one magazine. Who knows? That's it. But now you can spend countless hours. So what does this all mean? Well, how does this tie into what I'm saying? Well, again, someone that is getting radicalized, in this case with religion, they can consume one sermon after another, after another, after another, after another. They don't ever need to stop, really. I don't know the number anymore, but last I heard, it was like billions of hours get uploaded to the internet worldwide daily. So again, it goes back to, it's easier now, right, to radicalize people into whatever narrative you want to paint for them. Whatever you want them to think, however you want them to think. If you have an agenda, and in this case, if it's about, death to, and like it's been shouted before, to America, or like it's been happening right now with Europe, death to whatever European country from, whatever, again, radical, easy, right? Have your posse of, 20, 30, 40 individuals, radicalize the hell out of them. They don't even need to be in your church. They don't even need to be in your country. Wherever they're at, you can reach them now through the World Wide Web, through YouTube, through any of these means, Reddit, 4chan. I mean, it's countless. It can go on and on and on, right? So at the end of the day, what I always say, critical thinking. Critical thinking, I think it's more important than ever. I think it has never been more important than now, right? Because again, what you consume this very second can change your gears in your head, possibly forever, if you allow it to, right? And it's very sad that some people have gotten to that point, again, to the point of slitting throats and decapitation. God, I just wonder what are they consuming? Who are they talking to? Who is whispering in their ear? What is happening? Because I'm sorry, I also don't agree that, oh, it's because they're crazies. No, I actually will disagree. I don't think it's always a maniac. I don't always think it's someone without, a sane mind. In fact, I think many of the times when some of these mass murders or take place, or even if it's just a string of murders that take place, I think it's actually done by people that are actually pretty damn sane. They have just been manipulated, radicalized, influenced, which is why I'm also kind of against the word influencer more and more every day, because I don't think people are meant to be influenced as much as some people might disagree and say, no, what do you, shut up, we want to influence, the weak mind. I don't think, that is true. If it was for positive things, if it was for encouraging growth, of your skills, of your mental health, sure, I guess, but that's not often the case. More often the case, these so-called influencers, right, do it for the worse. And it's very sad. So I'll leave it there, guys, for today. I'm sorry to bring you another heavy-hearted show, but I feel an obligation to bring you the news, to bring you updates of what's happening, around the world. But as always, thank you for watching. Until next time, see ya. Hey, thanks for watching the JTH show. Remember, you can catch all the episodes, full episodes, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Radio Public. You can also visit www.thejthshow.com to catch episodes there and to catch anything that we had to blur out because of YouTube or any other platform. We usually put all of our raw information in there that is uncensored. You can also become a member at www.thejthshow.com to catch all the special perks. Thanks for watching.